And 3 months ago, it was my high honor to accept my party's nomination to run, and in just one day to have the opportunity to serve as the next Vice President of the United States of America. And I want to thank my friend, Congressman Frank Ginta. I want to thank my friend. But Frank and I have known each other for a while. Frank knows the introduction I prefer is pretty short. I'm a Christian, a conservative, and a Republican in that order. And I will just tell you, I joined this campaign in a heartbeat because you have nominated a man for president, a man who's on his way here right now. But you've nominated a man for president who never quits, who never backs down. He is a fighter, he is a winner, and until very recently it seemed like he was out there fighting all on his own, but now this movement is coming together. New Hampshire is coming together. We're going to make Donald Trump the next president of the United States of America. You know, I really do believe that Donald Trump literally embodies the spirit of America. You with me on that? I mean, strong, freedom-loving, independent, optimistic, and willing to fight every single day for what he believes in and for what will make America great again. You know? And it's not like it's exactly been a fair fight out there. You know what I'm talking about? I mean, ever since I joined this ticket, you know, it's like I got to turn on the television with a stick, you know. I don't know what's going to be on there, you know. It's like it's been 2-on-1, right? With the national media doing half of Hillary Clinton's work for her every day. But you know, the amazing thing is Donald Trump is still winning hearts and minds, and he's going to win all the way to the White House. It was kind of fun to watch about a week ago. Do you remember seeing all those TV shows about how this campaign was all rolled up? Remember? It's all but over. Hillary Clinton was out there naming cabinet appointments or something. She was measuring curtains in the Oval Office. Did you? And then the American people showed up. But then, you know, for all those pundits out there saying it was all over, the American people showed up. And I think the people of New Hampshire were never fooled. This race is on. We are leading in one national poll after another, and it is wheel to wheel here in New Hampshire. And we're going to sprint to the finish and take the checkered flag. You know, Hillary Clinton may have the media, the money, and the special interests on her side, but Donald Trump and I got something a little more powerful. We got a basket of American people that are saying enough is enough. We're going to make America great again. You know, it really is amazing if you think about it. I mean, I can see you're all gathered here tonight, the night before this historic election, because you know this isn't just a choice between two people. This is a choice between two futures. So let me tell you where I stand. I choose a stronger America. I choose a more prosperous America. I choose an America that stands without apology by our highest constitutional ideals. So I choose to stand with Donald Trump and every American who knows we can make America great again. You know, it really is amazing at a time that 7 out of 10 Americans know our country's headed in the wrong direction. The other party literally nominated someone who personifies a failed status quo in our nation's capital. I think the American people have had enough, and they've especially had enough of the fast and loose ethics of Hillary and Bill Clinton. We've had enough. I mean, it's almost hard to keep up, but let me see if I can break it down for you, all right? So while Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State in charge of all the foreign policy of the United States of America, she had a private family foundation that took millions of dollars from foreign governments. And then she had this private server to apparently keep all of what was going on out of the public reach. And when the media found out about that private server, she used high technology and hammers to try and get rid of all of it. Now, last summer the FBI found out that she had classified information on that private server that could be hacked by foreign powers and compromise our national security. But the FBI concluded last summer that she was only extremely careless, and I guess yesterday she just announced that they had not changed that conclusion. But as they say, facts are stubborn things, so why don't we remind ourselves of some of the facts? Here's a fact for you. Mishandling classified information is a crime. I mean, Hillary Clinton said she never sent or received classified information, and when the director of the FBI testified before Congress, he said, quote, there was classified information sent. Hillary Clinton said that there was nothing marked classified on her emails, and the director of the FBI told Congress, quote, that's not true. I mean, we found out that the FBI said that officials at the State Department offered the FBI a quid pro quo if they'd let them change the classified status on some of those documents that were on her private server. Remember that? And then we just heard that Hillary Clinton asked her maid to print out government emails and sensitive documents on their printer at her home in Washington. Let me say this to you, New Hampshire, from my heart. If only for their decades of the politics of personal enrichment, mishandling classified information, compromising our national security, and outright corruption, we must ensure here in the state of New Hampshire that Hillary Clinton is never elected President of the United States of America. If only for that. New Hampshire, in just one day, the people of this state can put an end to decades of Clinton corruption. We can close the history books on the Clintons once and for all by electing Donald Trump as President of the United States. The American people are just sick and tired of pay-to-play politics and the ethics of these people. And that's exactly the kind of politics that's going to come to a crashing halt when Donald Trump becomes President of the United States. His only special interest is going to be you, the American people. He's going to fight for you every day. And when Donald Trump becomes President, we're going to pass ethics reform in Washington, D.C. We're going to end the revolving door between government and the lobbying community. In a word, we're going to drain the swamp. Because, as we go into this election day tomorrow, easily the most dramatic choice that I think we'll ever face in our lifetimes. It's important as we talk to our neighbors and friends in the hours that remain that this election is about even bigger things than their small ethics. It's about our security. It's about our prosperity. And it's about the Supreme Court of the United States of America, and we need to talk about that. So while we await the arrival of my running mate, let me just take a minute to remind you of some of the big issues. First, on national security. Remember, despite traveling millions of miles as our Secretary of State, there's no question the world is more dangerous today than the day that Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama took over our foreign policy. Our allies are less secure, our enemies are more emboldened. 7.5 years of the kind of foreign policy, the architect of which was Hillary Clinton, of leading from behind, of moving red lines, of feigning resets with Russia, and paying ransom to terrorist-sponsoring states is emblematic of the kind of weak and feckless leadership that's weakened America's place in the world. Hey, let me make you a promise. When Donald Trump is president of the United States, we won't be paying ransom to terrorist-sponsoring states. They'll be paying a price if they threaten to detain the American people. But you know, it was Hillary Clinton who initiated that disastrous agreement with the radical mullahs in Iran. They got a ransom payment, $150 billion. All we got was a delay in the nuclear ambitions of the leading state sponsor of terrorism in the world. And it was Hillary Clinton who failed to negotiate an agreement with the sovereign government of Iraq that would have allowed us to leave a sufficient number of U.S. forces to preserve what the American soldier had won in Operation Iraqi Freedom. And let history record, through great sacrifice and courageous service, the American soldier won the peace and security of the people of Iraq in Operation Iraqi Freedom by 2008. It was done. In fact, I'm very confident in a crowd of this size that there's more than a few men and women that wore the uniform in that conflict or have worn the uniform of our armed forces in the course of their lives. Would you all just mind raising your hand if you've worn the uniform of the United States, and let us thank you one more time. Thank you for your service. But right now we stand here today because of the poor judgment of Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. There's 5,000 American special forces outside Mosul having to win back from the clutches of the terrorist organization ISIS what was already won when this administration took office. And lastly, it was Hillary Clinton and her State Department who left Americans in harm's way in Benghazi. And after four Americans fell, Hillary Clinton told the families of the fallen as their flag-draped coffins came off the aircraft at Dover Air Force Base that it was because of a filmmaker back here in the States when she had emailed her own daughter the night of the attack that it was a terrorist attack. When she was questioned about that inconsistency before the Senate, you know, the story they told for a while, she said words I'll never forget. Hillary Clinton said of those four fallen Americans, quote, "What difference at this point does it make?" Well, let me say something from my heart here. As the proud father of a United States Marine, anybody who said that, anybody who did that, should be disqualified from ever serving as Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the United States of America. You do not leave Americans in harm's way and not send help. And after American heroes fall, you do not say, "What difference does it matter? Why?" We cannot have 4 more years apologizing to our enemies and abandoning our friends. For America to be safe, for the world to be safe, America needs to be strong. And Donald Trump will lead on the world stage with American strength. We will rebuild our military. We will restore the arsenal of democracy. We will give our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Coast Guard the resources and training they need to accomplish their mission, and we will hunt down and destroy ISIS at its source so it can no longer threaten our people or inspire violence in the homeland. So it's about security abroad, but it's also about safety here at home. You know, the truth is, this is a very challenging time for men and women who serve in law enforcement in this country. You notice that? I mean, every time tragedy happens when a police officer is performing their duties, instead of just demanding answers and full transparency, which is our right as citizens, there's too many on the liberal left and too many in the national media that are prepared to use a broad brush to demean all of law enforcement as a force for division in our society. You know what I mean? I mean, Hillary Clinton, actually, in the wake of one of these tragedies, Hillary Clinton referred to institutional bias in all of law enforcement. Well, let me just say, Donald Trump and I don't believe the men and women who serve in law enforcement are a force for division. We believe they're a force for good. They are the best of us, and they deserve the support of the rest of us. You know, there's a lot of members of the law enforcement community who are here tonight. Would you just show them how much you appreciate what they do for our families every day? Let me make you a promise. As the Chief Law Enforcement Officer of the United States of America, a President Donald Trump will support the men and women in law enforcement at every level. We will provide them with the resources and the tools that they need to protect our families and go home safe to theirs, and we will restore law and order to every city and every community in this country. You know, that's probably why more than 330,000 members of the Fraternal Order of Police have endorsed Donald Trump to be the next president of the United States. So it's about security and safety at home and abroad, but it's also about our prosperity. Now, I can tell you, back in the Hoosier State, any progress we've made in the last 7.5 years has been in spite of what's coming out of Washington, D.C., not because of it. We're in the midst of the weakest economic recovery since the Great Depression. 1 in 5 American families has nobody under the same roof with a job. 47 million Americans are living in poverty. Hillary Clinton's plan, more of the same. Not the same, more of the same. More taxes, more regulation, more of the war on American energy, and worst of all, more Obamacare. You know, they tell us this economy is the best that we can do, but I think New Hampshire knows better. It's not the best we can do. It's just the best they can do. And when Donald Trump becomes president of the United States of America, we're going to put time-honored conservative principles into practice, and we're going to get back to work. Going to get America working again. Because Donald Trump's got a plan. Hillary Clinton wants to raise taxes by $1 trillion. We're going to work with the good Congressman Frank Ginta. We're going to work with newly re-elected Republican majorities in the House and the Senate, and we're going to cut taxes across the board for working families, small businesses, family farms. We're going to get rid of death taxes once and for all, and we're going to lower business taxes in New Hampshire so that companies in New Hampshire can compete with companies around the world and create and grow jobs here. And Donald Trump and I are going to have a moratorium on any new federal red tape on day one, and we're going to repeal every single Obama executive order that's stifling jobs and growth in the American economy. And when Donald Trump becomes negotiator-in-chief, you with me on that? We're going to have trade. We're going to do trade deals. But once again, trade's going to mean jobs, but it's going to be American jobs first. We're going to renegotiate NAFTA. We're going to get out of this Trans-Pacific deal, and we're going to hold our trading partners accountable to the commitments that they make to the people who live in the most powerful economy on earth. And lastly, when Donald Trump becomes president of the United States, working with newly re-elected majorities in the House and Senate, we're going to repeal Obamacare, lock, stock, and barrel. And we're going to hold them accountable for all the lies. You remember all the lies? If you like your health insurance, you can keep it. Not true. Right? If you like your doctor, you can keep him. Not true. Remember they said health insurance costs would go down. Boy, that wasn't true. The administration just announced a couple days ago, 25% increase next year alone, nationwide in premiums under Obamacare. I mean, it's pretty amazing. Even our opponent's husband, the former president, was out on the campaign trail the other day, and he said, costs are going up, coverage is going down. It's the craziest thing in the world. I guess even with the Clintons, sometimes truth happens. Am I right? Yeah, but here's the thing. Don't be fooled by Bill Clinton's newfound skepticism about Obamacare. Earlier this year, Hillary Clinton said it very clearly. She said, quote, before they called it Obamacare, they called it Hillary Care. And she's got a plan. Talk about going from the frying pan into the fire. Hillary Clinton actually wants to bring the worst of the Canadian healthcare system and put it right in the middle of Obamacare. It's called single payer. She does. Government-run health insurance right into the heart of Obamacare. I mean, now it's no surprise because one of those speeches she didn't want us to read, she gave up in Canada, and she said she'd like a healthcare system just like theirs down here someday. My favorite line, though, came from President Obama himself. Did you hear about this? He was down in Miami about a week ago, bragging about Obamacare. And the president actually compared Obamacare to the Samsung Galaxy 7 smartphones that spontaneously burst into flames. I'm serious. Did you see it? Here's what the president said. He said, quote, when one of these smartphones has a few bugs, they don't pull it off the market. They upgrade it, they fix it. Unless it catches fire, then they pull it off the market. Well, what a coincidence, Mr. President, because that's exactly what we're going to do with Obamacare. We're going to pull it off the market so it stops burning up our wallets. When Donald Trump becomes president, we're not just going to repeal Obamacare, we're going to replace it with health care reform that lowers the cost of health insurance without growing the size of government. All right? We're going to give the American people not more government, we're going to give them more choices. We're going to allow the American people to purchase health insurance across state lines like you buy life insurance, like you buy car insurance. We're going to harness the power of the American free market to drive down the cost of health care. That's the American way to meet the health care needs in an American economy. Right? So it's about our security, it's about our prosperity, but it's also about the highest court in the land. Men and women, I'll tell you what, if you cherish our Constitution, if you cherish limited government, if you cherish all the God-given liberties that are enshrined there, you need to think long and hard about this election. I mean, the balance of the Supreme Court is virtually on the ballot with the passing of Justice Scalia. But the next president could well make 2 and maybe 3 appointments to the court, setting the course and direction of the Supreme Court for the next 40 years. I mean, truthfully, if elect Hillary Clinton as the next president, you better get used to more unelected judges using unaccountable power to legislate from the bench. But you elect Donald Trump as the next president in the United States, you'll have men and women appointed to the Supreme Court and all of our federal courts who will strictly construe the Constitution of the United States of America and uphold our liberties in the tradition of the late and great Justice Antonin Scalia. So for the sake of our Constitution, for the sake of limited government, for the sake of the sanctity of life and the unborn, for the sake of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States, New Hampshire, one day from now, you must do your part to ensure that the next president to make appointments to the Supreme Court of the United States is President Donald Trump. So, as I wrap up, and I'm going to slide off the stage, and the next time you see me, you'll see him. I want to leave you with a challenge. I got a couple things for you to do, because this isn't about rallies, right? This is about making a difference. I mean, this is no ordinary time in the life of our nation. I'll never forget the night. It seems like just yesterday, Karen and I we'd been told the call was coming. We'd prayed through it. We talked through it as a family. We knew what our answer would be. And the phone rang, and I picked up the phone, and I heard that very familiar voice on the other end of the line, and he said, "Mike, it's going to be great." And it has been. And it will be when we make Donald Trump the President of the United States of America. It's going to be great. But we said yes in a heartbeat. We said yes in a heartbeat because I believe that man has the leadership and the vision to make America great again. And also I believe this country's in a lot of trouble. I mean, we walked away from a job that we love in the state that we love to stand beside this man, because this is no ordinary time in the life of our nation. It's time for us to do all we can, each of us. So I want to challenge you to do three things. Number one, vote. Bring a friend. Friends don't let friends vote alone. Pack a lunch. All right? I mean, seriously, folks, just get out there and talk to your neighbors and friends in the hours that remain and remind them the price that's been paid for the right to vote. Remind them of that. And go vote. Go vote for change. Secondly, I want you to, as you make plans to go vote, I want you to go tell somebody. Even yet tonight or first thing tomorrow, through the course of the day tomorrow, I want you to tell them about this election. That this is to me, I don't see this election so much even as between liberal and conservative or between Republican and Democrat. I honestly believe that, like Ronald Reagan said, that the choice in this election is between up and down. And here's the way I see it. Tell your neighbors and friends, this is a choice of whether we're going to continue to go down the same hill we've been going down to a weaker America on the world stage, a more hollowed out American military, an economy more stifled by high taxes, regulation, Obamacare, bad trade deals, and America walking farther and farther away from our most cherished constitutional ideals and principles, or whether here in New Hampshire we're going to stop, plant our feet, turn around, and march back up the hill to a stronger America at home and abroad, a more prosperous America built on economic freedom and limited government, an America that cherishes without apology our highest constitutional ideals. It's up or down. And you got to go tell somebody. Tell them what the choice is. And the last thing I'd say to you is have faith. Have faith in the American people. That when every time throughout our history, in the long and storied history of New Hampshire and of this great nation, I think you can find evidence again and again that every time the American people were presented with a clear choice for a stronger America, a more prosperous America built on economic freedom, an America that reaffirms our commitment to our highest ideals and principles, the American people have chosen strength and freedom and prosperity and economic freedom and our highest American ideals every single time. So have faith in the American people. And lastly, if you're of a mind to exercise that other kind of faith, to bow the head and bend the knee in the next day, be a good time to do that too. Really would. I mean, this is a very challenging time in the life of our nation. And If there's ever a time to pray for our country, now's the time. But let me make it clear to you. I'm here for the man. I'm here for the ticket. I'm here for the team. I'm here for the movement. But on this one, I think Abraham Lincoln had it pretty close to right. He was asked one time if he thought God was on his side. And Abraham Lincoln replied, I rather concern myself more with whether we're on God's side than if God's on our side. So just pray for our country. Pray for America. Because America matters far beyond our shores. We're the last best hope of earth. And if you pray, if you take time to pray, I just encourage you, those of you who are of a mind, to pray with confidence. Drawn from that ancient truth that the Pilgrims claimed when they stepped off onto Plymouth Rock, that Americans have claimed throughout our history in much more challenging times than we face today. Those ancient words that Americans have clung to, that if His people who are called by His name will humble themselves and pray, He'll do like He's always done throughout our long and storied history. As the old book says, He'll hear from heaven and He'll heal this land. This one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So men and women in New Hampshire, the main event is just around the corner. But I want to encourage you. I'm deeply humbled to be with you today. Deeply humbled my family are to find ourselves in this position at such a time as this. But I want to make you a promise before he gets here. And that's simply this. If you go out in New Hampshire, a state that could well decide this election, make no mistake about it. I mean, this race is on. We're leading in one national poll after another. The people of New Hampshire have it in their hands to set our nation on a course to make America great again by electing Donald Trump as the President of the United States. So take it to heart. And I'll make you a promise. If in the next less than 24 hours you do everything you can do, I'll make you this promise. That man is ready. This team is ready. This movement is obviously ready. If you go out and make sure that New Hampshire is ready, we will elect Donald Trump as the 45th President of the United States of America, and we will make America great again. Let's go get it done, New Hampshire. Thank you, and God bless you.